Let me first of all apologize. Okay. Starting, we had a session that is longer than anticipated, but we'll try and consolidate the information in a very efficient manner, and then allow you to ask whatever questions you may have before we let you go and synthesize the questions. Today, we wanted to share with you, or we're going to share with you our latest county performance index. The County Performance Index is a tool that we developed in 2014, right after the devolved governments were put into place in 2013. And the general import of this tool was to act as a feedback mechanism for county governments in helping them understand how county residents feel, think, and appreciate the different facets of service delivery that the county governments offer to us as citizens. We felt that at that point there was a disconnect between what we expected from county governments after ushering the evolution to the new constitution, and indeed what the administrations of the various county governments thought and felt that they were going to deliver to us as publics. And to mitigate that gap between expectation and reality, we felt it necessary to come up with a tool that would inform different stakeholders, but more particularly the county governments, on what it is that we, as county residents, feel about the 14 devolved functions. Suffice it to add that as we did this study, what it also served us was actually a civic education, tool, because many residents of the counties were not very clear on what the various county governments were meant to actually deliver to them. So we didn't know, as somebody was mentioning earlier, to what extent roads were a function. Also didn't know to what extent health, education, agriculture, and all these core 14 devolved functions were a function of national government vis-a-vis county government. And so the tool has also helped many county residents just interrogate and understand that which they should expect from county governments. The tool that we designed, therefore, looks and covers the 14 devolved functions. It has, within the 14 devolved functions, hide specific indicators that are very simple to understand to the common wananchi, asking them to rate the performance of county governments within those indicators that are then consolidated to form the index of various functions within the devolved governments. The sampling frame for this and the sample methodology for this particular Countytrak index is cluster sample. So we treat each and every county as its individual unit. We take Nairobi as its individual unit, and therefore all the other 47 counties are also treated the same way. And when we, go within those counties, we then look at those individual units as, respective universes. We call them universes, and within those universes, we then look at the population of those counties and allocate sample proportionate to size of those counties. So in consolidation, therefore, we have a sample that was covered for 2023 of 37,200 across the 47 counties. We then boosted that sample for the performance appraisal of elected leaders, just to ensure that the smaller administrative units like the constituencies had enough sample, and the boosted sample was there for 20. And therefore, the total sample that we had for the county appraisal or the county performance index was a total of 58,000. The survey was conducted between July and August of 2023. We covered all the 57 counties, all the 290 constituencies, and all the 14-15 wards, as I've mentioned, within each respective county. So without much ado, let me share with you the executive summary of the findings of the report, which you can then, if you want any more details, interrogate, on your own and ask us questions for the interest of time. The first thing that we wanted to, and we've been interested in understanding with regards to devolution is, has devolution made a difference? Is devolution working? Is it something that should be considered and therefore given more attention because it is endearing itself to the citizenry? Or is it a devolved and administrative system of governance that has failed? And what we see is that 70% of Kenyans, and I think this is very critical, actually state that devolution hasn't made a difference. It is working. It may not be working commensurate to expectations, but in itself, the devolved governments is something that county residents across the 47 counties very appreciative of. I think that then begs the question, if devolution is working and if devolution is making a difference, should therefore the allocation of budget to the county or devolved governments perhaps be relooked at? I know it is a discussion that is taking place in various fora, and if that be the case, then if it is satisfying and it is a welcome initiative and it is a system of governance that our residents and citizens feel is good because it brings services closer to the people, as alluded to by 70%, then the question then is, what can be done to enforce and both make devolution really work for the citizen? That is just a snippet of, what counties basically felt with regards to devolution and whether it's actually working. We see that the people in West Pokot, for instance, 87% say that yes, things are better than before devolution. And that is the case generally with almost all the counties as we see. The majority of those residents in all the counties claim that or indicate that devolution has made things better than before the introduction of devolution in 2013. Now, having said that, because then it makes it very easy to get onto the next stage where we are now querying the performance of county governments based on the 14 devolved functions. This tool basically looks at those 14 devolved functions and seeks to understand county residents' satisfaction with various elements regards to those functions. I will start off by just giving you an overview of the satisfaction across the 14 core devolved functions. Some of them have been consolidated, but in essence, we've covered all of them, including public participation. And what you see is that our satisfaction with the performance of devolved functions is still below average, despite the fact that we are very happy with devolution as a system of governance. Is devolution a good thing? Yes, that is what the data has told us. Is it welcome? Absolutely. Is the county administration performing the devolved functions as per to our expectation? The average performance rating is 49%. So that means that it is below average, but indeed devolution is working. If you look at the functions themselves, then the functions that are perhaps performing above average, the average being 49%, we see education. So education has an average a performance rating of 55, followed by agriculture at 51, roads and transport at 51, culture and sports and environment at 50, and then all the other functions fall at between 49 and 46%. The lowest performing functions being public participation itself, which is really the thread that meshes everything together, and housing, lands, and settlement, which tie at 45%. I'll very quickly take you through some of the core functions. I think the core functions that the devolved governments basically deal with are food security. We can look at health, we can look at education, at roads and transport, and perhaps public participation itself and planning, and then leave the rest for you to actually interact on your own and give you the summary. But then the general trend will be the same in terms of the reporting structure. If we look at agriculture, the top performing counties in 2023, as per our index, based on the different indicators that we covered, are Wasingishu, which was rated by its county residents at 63%, Elgeyo Marakwet, Trans Nzoia, Kericho, Bungoma, Nandi, West Pokot, Embu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Kakamega, Tharaka-Nithi, and Bomet. So that particular function of agriculture had a mean rating of 51, but we see that the top performing counties like Wasingishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, which tie at number 1 with 63, are the counties where the residents are very happy. Now somebody may then ask and say, but these are counties that have hitherto done well in agriculture. And indeed that may be the case. But what we have seen with the literature review that we have done is that the counties have also initiated very many different mechanisms to ensure that there's sustainable agriculture. They have been providing seeds, they have introduced mechanized farming, they take tractors out to the different residents in the wards, people who are interested in agriculture, they have agricultural extension workers, and they're using those different programs and mechanisms a lot more effectively than you find in the counties that are. I think one of the other questions, that is the top 25. One of the other questions that one would ask is it really fair to rate Nairobi in the function of agriculture? Well, first of all, agriculture, from our looking at the literature review and the CIDPs of the various countries, agriculture is a function that is actually incorporated in the county budget of all county governments. So let's start from there. What does that mean? It means that if you go and interrogate the CIDPs of Nairobi County, you will find that there is a docket and a department and their resources for agriculture. That means that there are people working there on the agricultural function, and there is also a resource in terms of budgetary allocation for agriculture. That being the case, it therefore does not hold true that Nairobi should not be rated when it comes to agriculture, because in every county is meant to be mandated to perform on the 14 devolved functions. The way we have looked at this tool is leaving all factors held constant. Why? Because if the argument is that Nairobi may not do well, or urban counties may not do well in a function, say as agriculture, then it should also hold true that those same counties should be able to do significantly better in areas where there's infrastructure like roads, health, education, etc. And so what we have done is said, let us leave everything as constant, because budgetary allocation for the various involved functions holds true for all county governments. County government that tells you that because I am in this particular topography or region, I don't have an allocation for a specific function. The Constitution did not envision that. It envisioned that if you're in Nairobi, then you will still have to deal with the issue of food security for the residents of Nairobi. And our question in terms of indicators is, how do you make food more accessible and affordable to the residents of Nairobi? Whether you do that through your own agriculture or through partnering with neighboring counties is really a function of strategy and how you want to actually reach that function. And so we leave it at that and ensure that all counties are left constant. I'm trying to anticipate some of the questions that you will ask. In terms of regions, then we see that Rift Valley is the top performing county in terms of agriculture, and the lowest is Nairobi with 40%, and we've already mentioned the average. What we have also done for you is we have put together a consolidation of the top 3 counties, performing counties by region, so that even if a county doesn't appear in the top 25, one is able to interact with the information and see who the top players are in the regions. I read recently a report, or I watched a report where one of your media houses was interacting with budgetary allocation for county governments travel. So how much a county is spending on external travel for benchmarking. And what we are hoping is that in looking at a tool like this, one would start and say, if I am in Nyanza, rather than going to which country, I was going to say Israel, to benchmark on agriculture, I will go to KISS if I am, say, from CI. If I am looking at the best performer, then rather than going to San Francisco to benchmark on agriculture and expend taxpayers' money, I will actually go to Wasingishu and find out first from county like Wasingishu, what systems and programs have been put in place to ensure that agriculture functions too. This is how this tool then helps, in terms of showcasing best practice examples. What is the most improved county in agriculture? The most improved county in agriculture 2020, if we compare 2020 to 2023, is Homa Bay. Homa Bay has moved from the ranking 41 to now ranking 14 in agriculture. Kirinyaga has also improved. Kirinyaga was ranking at 29 and is now at 10. We see Kitui also improved from 18 to 35, from 35 to 18. And then Nyandarua and Kiambu, respectively, have also improved, where Nyandarua has from 35 ranking in 2020 to 18, and Kiambu has moved from 45 to 28. So that then I think gives us a consolidation of the ranking of counties and the performance of counties in agriculture. We thought it may also be good to just give you a snippet to remind you of who the top performers in agriculture were 2015 and 2020. If we look at 2015, then the highest performer in agriculture was Goma, which we have seen is still in the top 25, but is not currently in the top 5. We see also in 2020, Goma was still there at number 4, but in 2020, the top performer was Kakamega. I said we'll just mention or deal with the core functions. So if we look at health, health is, a very critical function because 30% of the county budgets, when we looked at the county budgets, typically allocated to health. So health is therefore seen as a very critical budget in the devolved function. And when we look at health, then, you see that the top performing county is West Pokot. We also have other counties that performed well in health. Number 2 was Homa Bay. Let me show you that. Number 2 was Homa Bay. Then we have Tharaka Nithi, which was number 3. Then we have Turkana and Kwale, tying at number 4. We had Makueni and Elgeyo Marakwet and Embu. And then we also had Trans Nzoia, Wasingishu, and Murang'a in the top 10. When we look at the top 25, we'll have them there. I will not read them all out, but there are quite a number of counties that have taken health and concentrated on health. The top performing region in health is Rift Valley, but we also have Central performing above average, the average being 48%. And you can see how the counties are performed by the various regions. For instance, if we look at coast, we see the top county is Kwale. In northeastern, slight difference, but Mandera performs better than the rest. In eastern, Tharaka Nithi is the top performing county. In central, it's Murang'a. In Rift Valley, we have West Pokot. And then in Nyanza, we have Homa Bay. In western, we have Vihiga. And Nairobi County sits on its own. So unfortunately, it will be seen in all, unfortunately. The top or most improved county again in the health docket is actually Homa Bay. So Homa Bay was ranked at 39 in 2020 and currently is number 2. We have Trans Nzoia, which is currently at number 9. It was at number 38. We also have Mombasa, which has improved in health from number 45 to 20. Murang'a, which has improved from 11 to 30 to 11. And we also have Kirinyaga, which has improved from 30 to 12. And Narok, which has improved in health from 39 to 21. If we look historically and see whether there is a consistency in terms of maintaining a key competence in a specific area, then we see that that's not the case. So that the counties that were doing very well in health in 2015 have dropped off in 2023. In 2015, the highest performing county in health was Machakos, followed by Bomet, Kisii, Kwale, and Nyeri. And then in 2020, we see that Makueni, with its social health programs and what it was doing with its smaller, hospitals and health institutions, did very well at 64%. It was followed by Kwale, Kakamega, Machakos was issuing cases. I think it's probably important for me to note that with regards to health, the counties that have done very well in the health function from our research are counties that were able to do a couple of things. They were dealing with both the hardware and the software. The hardware being the healthcare institutions themselves, ensuring that there's the infrastructure. The hospitals are there and they're functioning well. The software is actually ensuring that you have healthcare practitioners. You have doctors, you have nurses, and then you also have the medicine themselves. So what we see, for instance, with the most improved county, Homa Bay, is that they refurbished their level 5 hospital, they constructed new health facilities, they restored essential drug supplies to the facilities across the counties, and we also see the same happening with Mombasa, the construction of Miritini and Likoni, and streamlining of services across the county. So those kind of things really endear the county government to the public, because the public then sees and feels that they are able to receive the services, not just because they're there, but they're there and they're providing quality service. I think another very important devolved function is education. But education, I think, is important to note that it is ECD, it is TVETs, it is the allocation or provision of support for vulnerable and needy students through bursaries and scholarships. But you also have, now different special programs that governors are having. For instance, Nairobi County government has a program that is. So all those initiatives together are the things that perhaps would accrue, satisfaction for the county governments. In our case, the indicators are limited to those areas that I have mentioned. I think perhaps outside the school, it is just asking about initiatives that the county governments undertake to ensure that the county residents, the stakeholders, are able to enjoy the education facilities under the ambit of the county government. The top 10 performing counties in education are West Pokot at 63%. We have Elgeyo Marakwet at 60%. Then we have Murang'a at 60%, so there's a tie in the two. Then Tharaka Nithi has also done well in education at 59%. We have Kericho, we have Kwale, Nyandarua, Kirinyaga, Uasin Gishu, Bomet, Vihiga, Nyeri, and Trans Nzoia in the top 10. Having said that, there are also others. They are limiting it to 25, so you see other counties that have also done well in agriculture. In education, in the education docket, we have a flip now, where Central is doing slightly better in terms of its overall performance as a region in education as compared to the other regions. Nairobi, which has a lot of educational facilities, is actually tied with Northeastern as a region at 51%. So they're the only 3 counties out apart from Coast that are doing performing below the expectations of the citizenry, because this is a perception tool in terms of the average. The top performing counties in education by region are as follows: Kwale leads Coast, Northeastern we have Mandera at 54, Eastern we have Tharaka Nithi, Central we have Murang'a, Rift Valley we have West Pokot, Nyanza we have Homa Bay, and Vihiga leads Western. The improved counties, the counties that have shown significant improvement, again, we see Trans Nzoia, which has moved from the ranking of 39 in 2020 to 13 now. We have Nyandarua, which has moved from 32 to 7, Homa Bay from 39 to 17, Bomet from 24 to 10, and then we also have, Samburu that has moved from the ranking of 36 to 22, and Narrow from 46 to 22. The top performing counties in 2015 and 2020 were slightly different. Bungoma had a very high rate for education in 2020 at 61%. Vihiga followed at 69%. In 2020, Kwale was the top performing county, followed by Kakamega at 65 and 60% respectively. And we now see that those, there's a change and shift with regards to the performance. I think the last outside public participation that I'm going to show you before we go to the overall, because we have this information, is roads, transport, infrastructure. And here we see that Nyeri emerges as the top performing county at 59%, followed by Elgeyo Marakwet, which ties with West Pokot, Kericho, and Uasin Gishu at 57. And then we have Kirinyaga, Trans Nzoia, Nairobi emerges in roads and transport with 55% performance rating, and Bomet, Embu, and Homa Bay tie at 54. That is the top 25 ranking. Those are the counties that are in the top 25 league. And so outside the ones we have already mentioned, we see Makueni, Lamu, Kisii, Nakuru, Turkana, Mombasa, also performing well at 53%. We also have Kakamega, Kisumu, Nyandarua, Vihiga, Kiambu, Tharaka Nithi, and Migori. Which region has the highest satisfaction, when it comes to our performance appraisal when it comes to roads, transport, and infrastructure? We see that Central is doing very well. And we had a discussion earlier in the morning where one of the stakeholders mentioned that Central has enjoyed a good, run when it comes to that area of infrastructure, perhaps because it has always enjoyed development from the historical times, having had more than one president coming from the region. And so it is not then in the stakeholders' perception a surprise that Central would do comparatively better than other counties. The question then is that if that be the case, then those counties that have not done very well with regards to good infrastructure, when are starting from the element of zero, but are able to do something that is felt by the residents, should equally have high satisfaction. Because if you did not have a road at all, and you now have gravel or roads in various parts of your county, then it is better than what you did not have before. If you now have 1 or 2 major highways passing through your county that hitherto are not there, then you should be satisfied, or perhaps your satisfaction with what is there now may be the case. The most improved counties in roads in 2023, again, we see Trans Nzoia moving from 43 to 6. And we see that when we looked at the plans of Trans Nzoia, we saw that they have invested heavily in, access roads that are connecting different counties, different villages to each other. We have Homa Bay, which has moved from 39 to 9. We have Murang'a, which has increased from 22 to 8. Kirinyaga from 18 to 6 position. We have Elgeyo Marakwet from 12 to 2, and Nyandarua from 29 to 19, and Samburu from 46 to 36. So those are the top 5 counties that have been put with regards to roads and transport. In 2015, the top performing county in roads was Machakos. They started off well by doing specific things to mitigate and demonstrating that they could build roads in efficient and record time. Now, whether that accrues them long-term and sustainable satisfaction is another question, but indeed, when it started off, we can see that it gave them a very good result. In 2020, Kakamega enjoyed the best, highest rating in terms of satisfaction and for their roads and transport. Irrespective of whether these roads are initiated by county or national government, I think I've already explained that the critical thing is asking whether the county government have done things to ensure that the road networks in the county are improved. And that is where we see the satisfaction emanating for some of these. I will not go through energy and in detail, but I will tell you what the top performing counties in energy are. There we only look at renewable energy. The core function of energy in terms of putting us all on the grid and policy is highlighted for the national government. So county governments are generally meant to look at renewable energy and also work with different stakeholders and national government to ensure that more and more residents of their county are put on the grid or have alternative sources of energy. So when it comes to energy, we see that the top performing county is Kirinyaga, followed by Nyeri, and then we have Kericho, Uasin Gishu, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, Kiambu, and Murang'a. And the top performing region in energy is Central, whereas the average is 49. Central actually performed above the average at 54, and Rift Valley performed at 50%. The most improved counties in energy are Trans Nzoia, we have Taita Taveta, we have Bomet and Nyandarua and Baringo, who have all implemented, initiatives that deal with creating awareness on affordable energy sources, and also, programs on clean energy that, county residents can use. Trade is another critical function. I will just mention the top, counties in trade. The first one, trade and tourism, is Kwale, which tied with Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Kirinyaga, and West Pokot. So those are the top counties in trade. The most improved county in trade is Homa Bay. Homa Bay has moved from the position 36 in 2020 to 6 currently, and Trans Nzoia has moved from 29 to first position. We have Narok, which has also improved in trade from 29 to 6. Kiambu has also improved from 40 to 17, and Nyeri from 29 to 11. So those are the most improved counties in trade. In 2015, Machakos was top in trade. In 2020, Kwale was top in trade, and they have maintained that, which is an interesting factor which I'll discuss in summary, that sometimes if you mainstream plans and you ensure as bureaucratic systems of governance and vision, that irrespective of the personality that comes in, if you have plans in place, then they should outlive the leadership that is there within specific times and just concentrate on service provision. Under housing, we see that lands and settlements, Nyeri is the top county, tied with Tharaka Nithi at 50%. The most improved county in lands and settlement is Trans Nzoia, followed by Kirinyaga, and then we also have Garissa that improved in lands and settlement, Kisii, and Kiambu. Water, under the water provision or water management, we also see that Nyeri is the top performing, tied with Uasin Gishu. The most improved county in the water management is again Homa Bay. We have Trans Nzoia, we have Taita Taveta, Murang'a, and Mombasa, all showing significant improvement in the water management. When we look at environment, we see that Uasin Gishu topped and tied with Elgeyo Marakwet in terms of protection, in terms of reforestation, in terms of dealing with carbon deficits. Those are things that the counties are meant to deal with, and we see that Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet have started initiatives that are going a long way with regards to the environment and satisfying their residents comparative to the other counties. The most improved county in the area of environment is Homa Bay, which has moved from 41 to 9, Trans Nzoia. We also have Embu, we have Mandera, we have Kisii. Those are the top 5 most improved counties this year. Culture, sports, talent management, ensuring that we can attract local tourism. Elgeyo Marakwet, tops there. It is followed by 3 counties which had a tie: Homa Bay, West Pokot, and Uasin Gishu. And those then become the top 5 counties. The regions, you see that there's not much significant difference in terms of the regions, although Rift Valley and Western and Nyanza are above the mean. And then the most improved counties in culture and sports are Trans Nzoia, Homa Bay, Embu, and Kiambu. They all have different festivals and functions that they have been, partaking in, whether they be sports, tournaments, whether they be cultural events that have actually really endeared them to their residents. How are we dealing with the elderly, youth, vulnerable groups that we have in our communities, whether it be gender-based issues, whether it be the vulnerable children in our counties? How are we dealing with how the county government for giving services to the various groups? We see that the satisfaction with the social services is highest for Elgeyo Marakwet and Trans-Nzoia, followed by Bomet, Makueni, West Pokot, Tharaka Nithi, Murang'a, Kericho, and Turkana. The most improved counties in social services are actually Trans-Nzoia again, Trans-Nzoia quite a bit, Tharaka Nithi, Murang'a, Bomet, Kirinyaga, and Homa Bay. And social services, the last time we had Kakamega topping social services. All these things that we have shown you with regards to county governments mean nothing if there's not good planning. And the service delivery is just as good as the plans that are provided. And what we see that with regards to planning, Trans-Nzoia actually topped in planning at 5% in terms of their appraisal for residents. Then there was a tie at number 2 for Uasin Gishu, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, West Pokot, Nyeri, Embu, Turkana, and Kwale at 53%. And then we also had Elgeyo Marakwet, Homa Bay, Kericho. The most improved county in the planning docket are Trans-Nzoia, which from 41 to 1, Homa Bay, which moved from 39 to number 9, Kiambu, which moved from 46 to 23, Samburu from 41 to 19, Murang'a from 23 to 2, and Kirinyaga from 20 to number 2. And those are the counties that performed well in planning before. Machakos was top in 2015, and in 2020, Kakamega and Makueni tied at the top position in terms of. The Constitution envisioned that county governments, because they were going to be providing services at the grassroots level, would enshrine a very robust public participation. But everything that is done with the consultation of county residents who then feel that they have a seat of it, that their views are taken into account when plans are being developed, that when budgets are being allocated, they are consulted, and that when things are not going well, their views, their pains that they are actually taken into account. So public participation therefore becomes a very critical element. And we see that the counties that have done well in public participation are West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, we see Homa Bay, and then there are many counties that have tied in the 4th position at 47%, and that then becomes those counties that are in the top 10. Who are the most improved counties in public participation? Embu, significant improvement from number 14 to number 4. We have Homa Bay that has improved significantly from number 31 to 3, Kisii from 31 to 4, Kiambu from 46 to 22, and also Mombasa from number 44 to 22. So those are the most improved counties in public participation. Suffices to add that this is one of the functions that has performed poorly at it comparative to other functions. Those are the core 14 devolved functions. And what then the index does, looking at all the indicators that consolidate to pick up these functions, we consolidate the satisfaction ratings by the county residents for respective counties for each function, and come up with an overall function index for each county government. And so this is what I will share with you now. So if we look at across all the 14 functions, we looked at health, we looked at education, we looked at energy, we looked at agriculture, we looked at what am I leaving out? Water, environment, planning, all the 14 devolved functions and the indicators that we have there. And we have then consolidated the index, the top performing counties with regards to service delivery as per the 14 devolved functions, as perceived by the residents of those counties, and Wasingishu, which is number 1 at 63%. Then we have Elgeyo Marakwet as well, which ties at number 1 at 60%. The third county is Trans Nzoia, which had an overall index of 62. Kericho, which had an performance index of 60. Nandi at 59, which was 5th. Bomet was 6th at 55. West Pokot was 7th at 54. And then we have Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, and Baringo tying at number 8. Those were the top 10 performing counties in this particular index, this 2023 county performance. You can also see the other counties that top performing counties in the top 25 peak of performance in 2020. Overall, when you look at the regions, then the region that is doing very well or seems to be enjoying in terms of devolution, or where residents seem to be more satisfied with devolution, is Rift Valley, which is above the mean at 54%. We have Central at 51%, where we consolidate the satisfaction index. And then we have Nyanza as well at 51%. Western and Eastern are at 50 and 49% respectively. And we have the average for all the counties at 49%. Coast average is 47, Northeastern is 46, and Nairobi. Who are the top counties overall when we look at performance across the various counties in the various cities? So at the coast, the top performing county is Kwale with a performance appraisal of 51%. Second are Lamu and Taita Taveta, at 48%. In Northeastern, we have very close performance index. We have Mandera at 47, Garissa at 46, and Wajir at 44. In Eastern, we have the top 3 counties are Embu at 53%, Tharaka Nithi at 53%, and Makueni as well as 51%. In Central, Nyeri is the top performing county with 53%, followed by Nyeri and Kirinyaga tie as top performing counties with 53%, and then Murang'a is second with 52%. The top performing counties in Rift Valley are Wasingishu, as we had seen, at 63, tying with Elgeyo Marakwet. Then we have Trans Nzoia at 62, Kericho at 60, and Nandi at 59. The top 3 performing counties in Nyanza are Homa Bay at 52%, Kisii also at 52%, and then we have Kisumu at 50%. The top 3 performing counties in Western are Kakamega and Vihiga in Chitaya at 51, and then we have Bungoma at 50%. Nairobi stands on its own. It's a city county, and its performance appraisal is 46%. Was really improved. Where is the significant improvement? 2020 versus 2023. When you move from position 42 in 2020 and you're currently at position 3 in 2023, you will be the most improved county, and that is what we see with Trans Nzoia. So Trans Nzoia currently in this period is the most improved county. Homa Bay, moving from position 35 to 13, is the second most improved county. Baringo has also seen significant improvement from position 25 2020, 8 now. Kirinyaga has also improved significantly from 25 to 8. Bomet from 21 to position 6, and Samburu from position 44 to 29. So that, in a nutshell, gives you a summary of what our index is saying. What are some of the things, therefore, that we have seen from, and what questions are the data begging us to ask? The first thing that we have seen, and perhaps you also see it because you also come from one county or another, is that an intersection in terms of working relationship between national government and county government is key. So county governments cannot act in a vacuum and say, give us our budgets, our locations, and we will then, perform and deliver to our residents as we will. There is a need of a symbiotic relationship between county and national governments. And we're seeing that those counties that perhaps either by design or by default have a close working relationship with national government also seem to have accrued, benefits in terms of satisfaction that they get. Is it by design or default that many of the top performing counties are in Rift Valley? I have been asked before. Well, these counties have been performing well since devolution started. So if that be the case or hold true, then we would say that they were doing well in 2013 for the same reason. They were doing 2020 well in 2020 for the same reason as they are doing now. I think it's far sometimes to perceive that, but what is critical to appreciate is that there must be that cordial and symbiotic working relationship in terms of government for things to work well for us as county residents. The second thing that you will note, and let me back the top 25, is that I have asked myself, do women make for better administrators? I'm not saying this because I am a woman, although I'm happy to see that, because I think we do. But when you look at the top 25 performing counties, all the women-led counties appear in the top 20. Is it by coincidence? I don't think so. The question then we should be asking, and maybe it's a more academic and philosophical question, is, are women better administrators? This data is telling us they're in the top 25 in terms of performance. What is it that can be learned from those counties that are being led by? I think the other thing that we have seen from this data is that second-term governors need to relax in their second term in many cases, in terms of their performance and their ability and the gusto with which they undertake their function. We have seen counties where there are second-term governors in the top counties that were in the top 5 are now not in the top 5. And in actually speaking to many county administrators, some of them have actually confessed to us that in the second term, they have relaxed. I said, they're going home anyway. So are they linking service delivery to the election? And yes, as political animals, perhaps that should be the case. But for those of us sitting in this room and out there as 50 million stakeholders, we don't want you to relax simply because you're not going to be re-elected. You have a mandate. We have given you the mandate when we vote for you. So whether you're a first-term or second-term governor, you should be doing well. There are certainly counties that we can see in the top 25 where we have second-term governors who have actually retained and maintained, the gusto and zeal with which they are performing. We can see the Kirinyaga county there in the top league. We can see Nyeri in the top league. We can see Tharaka Nithi in the top league. We can see Kisumu is in the top league. We can see Vihiga in the top league. But other than that, we also see other county governments where their repeat governors are doing so. What we have seen, which is interesting, is that repeat governors, the governors who lost after their first term and have come back in the third term as their second term, are doing quite well. So governors who were there between 2013 and 2017, then dropped off and have now come back with gusto. They've come back with the zeal. They've come back with new ideas. They realized perhaps they went back and thought through. They have the experience curve because they were there before. So at the minute they come in, we can see from the numbers, because numbers are supposed to tell us stories anyway, stories that represent the views of the public. We can see that, that experience and the zeal that they have is manifesting the satisfaction of the residents of those counties. Those for me, are some of the interesting things that I have perhaps seen in terms of, some of the outcomes of the study. If there are any others that you have also seen, I am more than happy to listen to them now as I think through maybe any others that I have. But that is in a nutshell this index. An index which is not an audit, it does not go to the ground and actually check on the kilometer of road. It does not check whether the medicines in the health institution. It asks all the residents of those counties to appraise, and they then become the audit tool themselves in terms of their perception on how their county governments. And I know that that is a limitation, but I believe that it's a good start. That if the county residents can get to appreciate what we feel as county governments can appreciate what we feel as county residents, then we are getting somewhere with regards to that which was very critical in their constitution, which is public participation and that feedback mechanism. Because all the county residents in Nairobi cannot go to Sakaja and tell you what they think. This is one of the best ways for our governor to know and understand that our performance appraisal and rating for him is X. And we therefore can put the pressure, and he, in fact, not even we put the pressure by him knowing that that is our satisfaction index or appraisal of him. And the hope is that governor who really went in as a person who raises servitude and is a servant leader, which is what they are meant to be, to say, these numbers are saying that our residents are not happy with function A, B, C. How do we actually therefore now come up with performance appraisal matrices to ensure that the residents themselves feel and appreciate what we do? We may be doing things, but they don't know. We may be doing things, but we've not launched them. We also may not be doing things, and we need to start. That is how these two, the county government on one hand, but I think most importantly, it's supposed to help the mama boga, our mothers and relatives back in the village, and even ourselves. Maybe we media and those of us who work in specific areas can knock the doors of county governments. But how many of our own people and people we know have no opportunity whatsoever, even the public participation processes, to knock any door in any county office to get any form of service from those governments? I thank you for listening. I am open to questions. We will be sharing the report with you. Thanks. I don't know whether I deserve it. Question, jump into it. I think the other thing that I noted from the data, sorry, is that most governors and administrators that have experience in public administration, whether they have been technocrats before, meaning they've worked in government before, or they have had some exposure in working with public service, tend to do better. We've seen they tend to do better in the county performance than those who are novices, perhaps have not had any experience in the past, especially with public administration. Thank you. Very clear or very overall? Interesting, useful information. Thank you very much. You will get a report. Give us your email so that you get the report. Yes.
To know maybe what was the model of the survey, was by phone, how many people are reached?
Okay.
Maybe we say that. My name is Leonard Omar from West.
Thank you. So the survey was conducted using computer-assisted telephone interviews, a total of 37,200 sample for the various counties. We used cluster sampling, so each county had its respective sample that was then treated as a universe, and stratified random sampling was done proportionate to size for each respective county. So County X, Nairobi County had the largest sample, for instance, and within Nairobi, we looked at the population of adults in Nairobi across all the wards, 85 wards that we have in Nairobi, and apportioned the sample proportionate to the size of the population in the various wards in Nairobi to conduct the survey. So it's computer-assisted telephone interviews. Right? Now, over and above that, because we also had the elected leaders appraisal, which basically asks how you rate the performance of your MCA, your governor, your women rep, etc., to ensure that outside the county elected leaders, sample was quite large. To ensure that the smaller units were fairly treated, we boosted the sample for the constituencies. Meant that it affected the wards by 22,000. So the entire sample then becomes about 59,000 interviews conducted between July and August 2020.
So we appreciate you coming. We'll be inviting you for more business. Notice we got down. Thank you.